Hi and welcome to today's video in which I have an array of fragrances that I've either purchased or have been using in the last 3 months. So we're talking of January through to March. So I'll show you the items that I've picked up. Now, I did buy several items from one website and I was actually wanted to pick up this perfume, which has been deleted a long time, well, at least 3 years ago, and I didn't realise at the time. So this is the original Narciso Eau de Parfum, and it was only done in an Eau de Parfum, and it's in this cube container, this lovely bottle. It's very heavy. Now, Narciso had Rodriguez, the company, the designer, had actually done eau de toilettes before this, in large thin bottles, but this was his first foray into eau de parfum, and obviously self-styled. Now what I will say is that the original one, this was only out a fairly short period before it was discontinued. In fact, I think it was discontinued by the time the third variation had been created. So basically we had this Narciso, and then a couple of years later we ended up with Narciso Poudre. And then a couple of years after that, a Narciso Ombre or Amber. So by the time the Amber one came out, this was then discontinued, which I didn't know at the time. So I feel that all the Narciso fragrances within the house have similar notes. You can tell the DNA of the fragrance house, not with every fragrance house, but you can, I feel, with Narciso Rodriguez. But this is quite different to all the fragrances. Well, those may have patchouli and rose, tend to be quite rose heavy, but quite subtle. This one has got gardenia, white rose, musk, cedar and vetiver. And all those are in it, and it actually has what a lot of people have noted has a lactonic or element or milky element, so it's very, very creamy. So it's a lovely warm enveloping, it's like wearing a cashmere jumper, as I've seen many describe it. So it's lovely for autumn and winter or early spring, but to be honest, you could use it all year round. I would say this is readily more feminine than masculine, but of course perfume is subjective and anyone can wear what they like. But it has been difficult to source because when it was readily available, I bought at the price because it's a basic designer brand. It's not a particularly great brand, and they were charging a lot of money for this 50ml, and I think the full size may have been 100ml, and it was in excess of £100, so I really didn't feel it was worth this amount. And then I could have kicked myself when it became, when it was eventually discontinued. So basically you find some on eBay now and again, but the problem is it does say original Narciso, but it may not be true. It may be original Narciso Poudre. And the Poudre and there's very little difference in the bottle. The bottle's the same. The cap is one shade darker and the liquid or fluid one shade darker. So it's difficult to know. When people take things in dark lighting or whatever, you don't know what you're getting. And many people do not know there are 3 variants of this fragrance, or maybe wishing to deceive. So I had great difficulty picking any up. So I was glad when I saw it in January at fragrancex.com, which is an American-based website that sells perfume. It's not a physical store. So I'd seen Fragrance X for a number of years. It had been on our websites, but I didn't realise, I wasn't sure whether it was could be a trusted company that would send perfume to the UK, because it is difficult to ship within countries because perfumes are generally flammable. So I looked at one of our review websites called Trustpilot, and it got really good score, over 4. I think it was about 4.9. So I thought, yes, it's worth, taking a punt and purchasing the item. So I went and put this into my basket. Now, once you put the country of origin, it converts directly to pounds, which is our currency here in the UK. And if you spend over a threshold, then your postage, packaging, shipping, taxes, well, the shipping's, they're all free, and they incorporate tax into the price once you put your country. Now, I'm not sure if there was any taxation here in the UK. There used to be, but since we came out of the EU, the government was in the UK was saying that they weren't going to tax individual consumers on purchases from America and Canada. I'm not sure if that's the case, but I wasn't charged any extra. This cost me £50 for 50ml, which is cheaper than it was when it was originally sold. So I'm very pleased to have it in my collection because it fills a gap of a perfume I like and don't have. The next item that I picked up was this one here, and it is from an American brand that was never sold in Europe to my knowledge, and certainly not in the UK. And it used to be all over the internet and all over YouTube. Everybody seemed to have it and rave about it. It's a range of perfumes called the Nirvana range, and the house is Elizabeth and James. So this is Amethyst. So it's one of the earlier ones that came out, and it's got tobacco, honeysuckle and cedar. Now, these are particularly of interest to me, particularly tobacco. I love the scent of a fresh, wet, damp tobacco as it's rolled, if you were to make perhaps cigars, that sort of thing, or a rolling tobacco for a pipe. So this is an authentic tobacco. It's not particularly smoky, it's more like a damp tobacco. But you can have the scent of a honeysuckle, and there is honey in this as well. So I would say that all of these ranges are supposed to be unisex, but this one does leave with the honey perhaps more feminine. But they are like hip flasks, like a man's hip flask, or a flask that men would often use. They are convex in that they stick out at the sides, so they don't stand easily together, if you can see, but they do look nice when stacked. It's just like I say, if you understand it, the shape is, if you can see the shape there, it does belly out. So I think they're lovely and elegant, lovely cut glass. You've got good trimmings on. The metal trimmings have got engraving on, and I think there's a plastic finish on top so that you can't feel the engraving. This lid's a bit loose. I think it's a faulty loose. Oh no, it has clicked. It doesn't always click. And it came in a box, and I paid about £20 for this, which was very inexpensive for 50ml. This is full size. And yeah, lovely, very well packaged, and it came with a Narciso. I also purchased a small 2ml sample of the next perfume, and both me and Mr. Bear loved it, so we placed another order. So this one is for the Elizabeth and James Nirvana Bourbon. So it's obviously frosted a bit like the drink Bourbon, which is a whiskey type drink, and it is a tester. It did say on the website, tester, no box. In the UK, when there are testers, you generally get a white box, are generally white labelled. And some say the testers are stronger than the standard fragrances because they are used at perfume counters to try and encourage people to buy the perfume. So I don't know, but this one, again, I do like the finish. It's very sleek. It's been very well thought out. I understand they were moderately, they weren't the low end price end range, but I paid about £34 for this. The equivalent would have been more expensive at the time they were readily sold. I would imagine the prices will go up as they get more scarce on websites, but we love it so much, I think we may go back and get another two. So this one, according to Fragrantica, has oak, bourbon, vanilla and tuberose. You can definitely smell a sweet bourbon. Out of the two, this is slightly more masculine. I love it though, and like I say, I think we're going to get some more. So this was around £30 or £34, something like that, which is still very, very good compared with its full retail price. Then the final item that I picked up, I got from eBay, and it was an item, I've got the original here. No, that's the original. And I got this in, it's dark green. It looks black, but you can see there, just the edges, it's a dark racing green. It's an opaque bottle, and it's by the brand Les Primordials, and it's made in France. And it's called Super Rose. Now this was made exclusively for Harrods, and when this was put in an advent calendar in November 2023, they had stopped selling it. There is a marker on the website, you can see it, but I've never seen it for sale. But I believe it was likely to be in excess of £200 for 100ml. So to get 30ml was wonderful. I liked it so much in January, I went and managed to purchase another for £20 off eBay, and it hasn't been refilled. It is sealed component with a rare earth orbit, a rare earth magnetic top, and yeah, it's quite, it does look very, very nice, and it is very similar to the full size. So again, I only paid £20 for that. And usually if you see them for sale, they can be in excess of £100, because like I say, it's discontinued, this Super Rose, because it was one-off batch for Harrods. When I've looked up, I've tried to find the notes on Fragrantica, they're not listed, but Harrods have the peach, pear, lychee, rose, saffron, mandarin, iris, and a base of patchouli, vanilla and white musk. Now, I think there are similarities between this and Delina by Damali, because there is a very sharp, fresh opening that fizzles in the nose. That's all I will say. If you get the original Delina, I think the common ground is there's a peppery note and lychee, although I do like the rhubarb in the original Delina. Now, if you wanted to try this or something like this, I think it is based on another fragrance that in the range called, let me get this, Rose Super Critique. So it's got critique and super, one word, Super Critique, Rose Super Critique. And that one has lemon, pink pepper, rose, green note, raspberry, geranium, vanilla, violet and cardamom. So I think there's going to be some similarities. I may get that at some point, but I'm very pleased with this. All I will say is it has this wonderful fizzy element that lasts 5 to 10 minutes, then it becomes a very generic but nevertheless lovely floral. Unlike the Delina, which has its fizzy note throughout the course or duration of its life on the skin. But like I say, I'm pleased to have that one. Now, other fragrances that I have been trying or using this month, I've got a couple here. On the January, February, I used this, if you can see here, I might try and get a light over a bit, Tom Ford, and this is Rose Cafe reformulated in 23, and I got this for my birthday. It's got Turkish rose and coffee. I don't really pick up a lot of coffee because you can't, coffee has to be artificially created, but you can't do an extraction from coffee beans for fragrance. But what I will say, or it doesn't, you're not going to get it retaining as a coffee. Generally, you need oil extraction. But they've put an artificial coffee note in. It's fairly pleasant. I can detect it, which is good. And it is, it's also got Bulgarian rose, patchouli, cardamom, coriander, ylang ylang, and then it says base, frankincense and sandalwood. Now, I don't particularly pick up any base notes. I don't pick up frankincense, which is one of my favourite notes. And I really dislike sandalwood, and I'm glad I can't detect it. But it seems to have its opening right to its end. It doesn't change in its notes, but it is very strong, nearly a super beast. Is it a favourite? No, but it is nice, and there aren't many Tom Fords that I particularly like. I find them a bit too overwhelming because they tend to be oud based, but this one isn't. But I have enjoyed using it, and that's a couple of months worth of use when I use it of a morning. And then the final perfume that I've been using, I got for Christmas. It's Paradise Moon, which from a limited collection of 12 perfumes that came out in 2021 by Estee Lauder. This is the yellow one, and this is a leather-based floral fragrance. So of the lot, this may be the most challenging because, you know, not many female perfumes tend to go for leather. It was popular in the 80s, 70s and 80s, not so much now. Maybe it's getting a revival. Now, a lot of these are being reduced from £140 for 100ml down to around £80 or £90. I haven't seen this one reduced recently. I'm not sure, though, if they're just continuing given the sale. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. But this is one of their higher-end perfume ranges. Now, the Paradise Moon, according to Fragrantica, has osmanthus, which is a floral, labadanum, which comes across very much like a resinous or incensey flower note, but it is a plant. And then you get leather, which obviously is artificially created using notes of oak moss and cedar. Now, what I will say, it is more than just those notes, and a lot of people on Fragrantica have noticed it is a sweet, fleshy, fruity opening. So some have said peach. I'd say perhaps more tropical fragrances as notes as well. Perhaps some more tropical fruit, but it's absolutely lovely and fleshy. That leads on to the fleshy osmanthus flower, and then you get a bit of smokiness with the labdanum, and then the lovely leather. Now, unfortunately, leather doesn't tend to last long in perfumes, but I will say it does retain its fragrance for a few hours on the skin. I have to work a little to get it to last longer on the skin, but I absolutely adore it and love the fact that this is in my collection and I'm using it at the moment. So they're all the fragrances that I've either bought or been trying out or using in the past 3 months, and this I'm still using in April. So what I hope to do is I will do another video for April, May and June, and I have got a couple of fragrances that I've bought already in April, and I'll show you what I've been using as well for my collection. Obviously I still have my fragrance that I'm using in my Project Pan, which I use of an evening, but these I've used 2 fragrances in recent months, trying to focus on them, and the rest are ones that I will be using. Hopefully I'll start using them, maybe the Narcissu one more towards winter, autumn and winter, and I will try and get a bit more use out of the Nirvana ones, because what I've done is I've only tested them just before this video because I wanted them to settle a good long time before I use them, because they've been shaken all the way back from America all the way to here, and also with different temperatures. So I feel now I've got the true fragrance notes, and I'm very, very pleased with my purchases. So can I say thank you very much for watching, as I do appreciate that your time is valuable. If you've got any comments, any perfumes you like, any perfumes you think I might like, I would be really interested to know. Otherwise, thank you very much for your time. Hopefully I shall see you in another video. Otherwise, please take care of yourselves, and bye for now.